A co-op blog is live here in Victoria Island, Lagos for the public presentation of Dr. Femi Olugbile's latest literary masterpiece, Pelewura. The groundbreaking book is set to unveil the untold story of gender politics in the colonial era of Lagos and Nigeria. Book is said to be very important for the mind, heart, and soul because the power that is within the pages of a book is indeed formidable. So stay tuned with us as a co-op blog brings you the coverage of this auspicious event as it unfolds. I am Babawale Solomon. Renowned author and psychiatrist Dr. Femi Olugbile presented his latest literary masterpiece, Pelewura, on Wednesday at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Victoria Island, Lagos. The event, attended by distinguished guests, celebrated the unveiling of a work that delves into the untold story of gender politics in the early colonial era of Lagos and Nigeria. The moderator comments the proceedings by acknowledging the notable guests present after introducing the esteemed author Dr. Femi Olugbile.
As he came in this morning, he came on time, and that is part of the hallmark of a fine gentleman. And I know that I have very eminent jurists here. I'm covered, so I can say it, because he is not maintaining his lane. Dr. Idrisa, is he maintaining his lane? He's maintaining his lane. Okay. Well, since my guy said he's maintaining his lane, so thank you very much. So, Dr. Femi Olugbile, the author of today. His wife is also here, beautiful, elegant. We will, because she will be moving around, making sure that everything is okay. So don't disturb. So please stand up for recognition. That is the elegant lady beside the author. It's not easy to write, because you will be spending some wee hours, and when you're on your laptop and you're doing things, so that madam will not think that the author is doing something else. You need to be sure. So for giving him that support, thank you very much, for that.
Among the distinguished personalities in attendance were Father of the Day, retired IGP Musiliu Smith, the Chairman of the Day, Ambassador Patrick Dele Cole, Mr. Fola Adiola, Dr. Abayomi Fini, two-time Lagos Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola, represented by Mr. Akim Bello, the book reviewer, Mr. J.K. Randall, the Royal Father of the Day, His Royal Majesty Oba Abdul Wasiu Omogbolahon Lawal, the Oniru of Iruland, amongst others. Ambassador Patrick, in his opening remarks, expressed his pleasure at being present and offered accolades for Dr. Femi Olugbile's work. He stated, "What historians have lost, psychiatrists have gained."
To so easily distinguish us who were on our way to that famous place in Abeokuta called Aru. But while we have life, let us celebrate. It was a great pleasure to read this particular book. And each time I read it, the idea that keeps floating in my head is that what historians have lost, psychiatrists have gained. If it was written by a historian, he couldn't have done better. But he employed the tools of his trade in order to portray personalities, stories, situations, and circumstances which bring to life what happened 100 years ago. And I want to join me in congratulating him for still being sober. Apart from that, The history of Nigeria is one that needs people like him and a lot more. Because one of the funny things about Nigeria at the moment is that it's like what they say in magicians: the more you look, the less you see. We have come to the age of denials. Things that are clear and in front of you, somehow or the other, you believe that it's not there or you can overcome. But looking through the history of Lagos and what he wrote about suggests to us that the ability to be politically wise is indeed embedded in this particular city. It is through wisdom, through organizations, through self-sacrifice that we have achieved what we have achieved. And I want to put it on record that Lagos is the flag bearer of this particular movement.
Father of the Day, retired IG Baba Musiliu Smith, Mr. Fola Adiola, Dr. Abayomi Fini, Raji Fashola, represented by Mr. Akim Bello, Royal Father of the Day, His Royal Majesty Oba Abdulwasi Omogbolahan Lawal, amongst others, offered their goodwill messages commending the significance of Pelewura.
I'm happy to be here, just like virtually all of us here, and to come and rejoice with Dr. Femi Olugbile on this is joyous occasion. I hope maybe after this, you still expect maybe one or two more before you retire. Not retire from Lagos State Service, but to retire from writing books, because it's not easy writing books. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of determination, a lot of discipline to be able to finish a book. So just like the Master of Ceremony has said, I think we have to manage time very well. I want to welcome all of us here and to wish that you have a very, very joyous occasion. Thank you very much.
To the celebrant of today, Dr. Olugbile, I must commend you. You really didn't maintain your lane, as Fashola used to tell us that time. You left your lane and moved to another lane. But for a medical like Kavis, okay, you are excusable. When I saw his piece, when he sent me a message that he's reading a book, Pelewura, and I was more like, it's not the same Dr. Olugbile, the CMD, Dr. Olugbile, the Permanent Secretary X. I was almost tempted to call Dr. Idris that is Paul amongst the prophets. What is Olugbile doing with the... But I'm very happy, and I really want to read the book. I saw the brief, the Pelewura, and I'm very happy the market women are here. The role Pelewura played in the history of Lagos, and as a traditional ruler in Lagos, I'm very, very happy to be amongst you today. And I want to assure you, Doctor, I'm also doing a book on the urbanization and how Lagos evolved, 2000 to 2020. So I'll come and consult Dr. Patrick Deleko, because I read a book while I was doing my research, The Modern History and the Role of Elite in Lagos Politics. That was where I saw the role of Oba Macaulay when Oba Falolu was being crowned, and people, the kingmakers told him, Bat Mashebe. I like that book, and I'll recommend it to some of us here. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to be here, and I wish Dr. Olugbile more time to write more books. Thank you very much.
When Femi Olugbile told me that he has a book coming, or he completed the book, I told him it's long overdue. Long overdue. The last one I read was The Lonely Man. And because I've been used to reading his books, I said to him, why have you stabbed us? And that I will be here. And that was all that happened. But I would have wished that Femi Olugbile told me that there will be 2 policemen sitting down here. One is bad enough. There are 2 policemen here, and I sit down. I mean, that's why I had to leave for. But they just happened to be. You wonder what took Musiliu Smith to the police, the man that can all kill a fly. And the other one was challenging people for not staying on their lane. And say a policeman has become king. How do those lanes merge? But it's you ask yourself, where would you like to be? And for me personally, today, between 11 and 1, this is where I would like to be. This is where I would like to be, because what we are celebrating here is quite different from our typical celebrations. We are celebrating intellect, we are celebrating literature, and when you look at the people that are meeting here, Patrick Deleko, most people who write were taught how to write by him, including myself, as bad as my writing is, as the person who taught me how to write. You look at J.K. Randall, he just doesn't stop writing. Some say, why is he writing again? The following day, just like Obasanjo, he resembles Obasanjo a lot. They are just writing. Whether you like what they write, or you don't like what they write, they just keep writing. So I don't want to support the father of the day by telling Olugbile to retire from writing and then do what? Do what? Just go on writing. That one is even better than your. You see how he dissociated himself from the job that you trained to do. Tell you are close to his family, but not in your line of practice. We have built this enduring friendship. Congratulations, Femi. More books. In the same, humility of style that you have always adopted. We love you, we respect you, and we will continue to support you in all this endeavor. Exactly the same way you support the society.
Dr. Olugbile had written a lot of books. And I don't know if I should ask him here or I should whisper to his ears. Yeah. Okay. Book writing is your latest passion. I'm going to plead that if you have a very intelligent head like that, you finished the, medicine, you entered writing deeply. You can deepen the discovery of drugs that will make all of us well and popular. You can do it. I can say it. So that would be wonderful. Let me congratulate you for so many books you're writing, because they're deep. And they mean a lot. And they help people to grow. They help them to restructure themselves in case they're having problems. And it's a wonderful gift. You have been a wonderful gift from God since we knew you. What can we say? We can thank God for the gift of Professor Dr. Femi Olugbile, and a lovely wife. Because we have people in Nigeria, we have gifts that God has given us in Nigeria. It's for us to obviously thank God for them, and also to respect them, and also to bring conducive environment so they can thrive more. May God continue to lead you. May He continue to bless you. May He continue to make you happy, because you are a man that does good. You can see how your wife is smiling. It's wonderful. So thank you so very much. And I'm sure that we're going to enjoy that book, because the woman did great. Thank you.
I've known Femi for quite a while. He has mentored my wife, Professor Elizabeth, this over the years in the course of our career. And I know him in a very personal and very private way. So I'm quite happy that you took up this challenge. I'm a Lagosian, but I don't have the courage to do what you are doing. There was even a time I contacted my boy here, JK, of somebody wanting to write on Lagos. He said, later on, I'll take you through the mail. He hasn't remembered to do that. So I'm sure in the course of reading this, some of the things I was hoping to learn, Femi will have discovered it. I know this is not your first book. You've written a few books, and you are so talented. In fact, when I read your publications, not just the book, the way you command English, I learned some new words when reading some of your articles. So please accept my very best wishes. We're with you. Thank you.
When you have a gathering that had the Royal Highnesses, that had the boss of my boss seated, and then you invited me to come and sit down. No, I don't want to commit, the unthinkable. So I just said, okay, let me sit down there and just enjoy and learn. And I've done a lot of that today. And I think we all deserve to give ourselves a round of applause. Yes, I have a goodwill message here, but I'll also make a clarification, because I've had the banters about, maintain your lane, stay on your lane, and all of that. And but I also like to mention the fact that Babatunde Raji Fashola was very, very, very committed to scholarship, to research, and to documentation. And so he encouraged members of his cabinet, members of his team, commissioners, pamphlets, and all of that, to write their experience, because it will serve our state and our country well. So, Dr. Femi Olugbile is very much on track by writing and also being devoted to medicine. And so, I'd like to say that we have the same time with Spain, and I think sometime in another hour or two, Mr. Fashola SAN will be speaking at the 7th Congress of Architecture, and that's why he's unable to be here. And he took a commitment and kept reminding me who is representing me at the launch of the book of Dr. Olugbile. And it says something to the fact that Mr. Fashola recognizes the distinguished service of Dr. Olugbile, as indeed many of you who are seated here today. So that said, I'll just quickly I'll just tiptoe through some of the highlights of his goodwill message. It says, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with immense pleasure that I accepted to be at this event today as a special guest of honor. My delight is primarily on the fact that I see this as a good opportunity to give honor to whom honor is due. And Dr. Femi Olugbile, by all standards, deserves all of our accolades and honor. But there are other equally important reasons why I felt this invitation must be honored. First of all, Dr. Olugbile had a truly illustrious public service career, during which he served, among others, as the Chief Medical Director, Lagos State Teaching Hospital, LASU, and Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Ministry of Health. And well beyond life as a public servant, Dr. Olugbile has continued to apply himself diligently, both in the areas of his specialty, mental health, and quite fascinatingly, as an author of 6 books, a newspaper columnist, and leading researcher to the service of humanity. It never ceases to amaze me how Dr. Olugbile balances these tasking engagements, as indeed many of the speakers here today have pointed out. But most importantly, I cannot forget the selfless service rendered by him in documenting the most modest endeavors of our team between 2007 and 2015. If you have read or heard about the 9 booklets that made up the Lagos State Youth Practice series, and indeed I stumbled upon a copy, while preparing for this. Now, if you have read or heard about those booklets that made up the Lagos State Youth Practice series, covering the grading program, waste management, the curtailment of Ebola, the ECO project, and so on, all those things that were credited to the administration. Then you have Dr. Olugbile to thank for the diligence in coordinating and ensuring that we were able to, and I'll quote the forward the road to this booklet, to document the road we traveled, to record our understanding of the problems we faced, the solutions we adopted, the errors we made, and the successes we achieved. Permit me to quote this excerpt from the foreword again. Each of these series was documented by Lagos State public servants in the ministries, departments, or agencies of government where the solutions were developed from. It was these same public servants who were involved in the execution of the various initiatives, and our KBC had acknowledged that earlier today. Now, this is it. The editorial work was entrusted to a public servant, Dr. Femi Olugbile, who I must say took on the responsibility with a lot of fervor and dedication. Now, just as an aside, when the former MD and a great senior in the journalism profession was talking repeatedly about hope, if he does this, this is the prescription, and I then remember that, could the thought of what would happen to me if Dr. Olugbile doesn't answer my frequent pestering for one soft copy or PDF copy of this or that, as soon as BRF requests for it, will it have compelled him to be answering me? I don't know. Well, on the offering from the well-known of Dr. Olugbile, which we are unveiling today, I would only say that we should all look forward to buying a copy of the untold story of a thoroughly remarkable woman, Chief Ademotu Pelewura. To whet your appetite a bit, and indeed the book reviewer has done that, Pelewura is a dramatized story of a true life character who rose from humble beginnings to become the most powerful woman in Lagos. It is also the story of Lagos of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Now, our mission is done, but I cannot go without wishing Dr. Femi Olugbile more vitality, wisdom, and knowledge to continue to function and affect us and future generations positively. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Speakers kept talking about arrow. They forgot that Femi is a product of Yaba. So, I want to say that if I was not at the interview that found Femi fit to be a resident doctor at psychiatric hospital Yaba some how many years ago? And if I was not able to visit Femi at the University of Edinburgh, when he was qualified as a psychiatrist, I would have doubted the fact that this gentleman is a psychiatrist. I would have thought that he's a writer and an author, a playwright, call it what he did, but anything but psychiatrist. Look at him, he doesn't even look eccentric. Sometime last year, I turned 80, and I thought I should write a book. The title of the book was Towards Excellence in Mental Health Management in Nigeria. I did a 300-page book. I read the book over and over again. I found it very, very empty. No substance. I got so worried. I said, what do I do? I remembered my friend Femi. I called Femi. I have something for you, Femi. I've written this book. I want you to contribute just one chapter to the book. You obliged me. His chapter came to about 30-something to 40 pages. That was how I managed to sell my book. Femi, I want to thank you very much for what you've done to me. And you wonder Pelewura. I happen to know that Femi is from Indelible, am I right? But I followed you to bury your mother so many years ago. So was I. I want to wonder what an Indelible man has to do. Thank you very much, Femi.
Book reviewer J.K. Randall provided insight into the book's content, praising Dr. Femi Olugbile's boldness and the eternal impact of his work. The author is a man of truth and integrity, he said.
I suspect that the irony is not lost on you. A chartered accountant has been entrusted with delivering a clinical review of a book, Pelewura, written by a medical doctor, Dr. Femi Olugbile, about a market woman who, according to the author, could barely read or write, or even sign her own name. However, she was smart, a really tough cookie. She wielded enormous power and profound influence in her market, Eriko, where she sold fish, and 16 other markets in Lagos, Oyibo, Oluwole, Okehani, Ologbo, etc. Not only did she bring a new dimension to market forces, she was much to the chagrin of the British colonial government, a force to be reckoned with. Let us pause in order to heartily congratulate the author for capturing the essence of Lagos and its candencies, beginning from when the colony of Lagos had a population of only 42,000. Now, in Lagos, we have to contend with a sprawling and effervescent Lagos state and an explosive, statistically intimidating 20 million people during the day and double that figure between nightfall and dawn. Those who know. It goes without saying that the author is a man of truth and integrity. You must commend his boldness, because whatever you have put in a book, you can no longer deny. It will be there for eternity. I want you to, some of you may have come across it, the front page of the Financial Times of London on 1st of October 2023. And I'll quickly read the passage. A Chinese reprint of a book about an emperor who ran his realm into the ground before committing suicide nearly 400 years ago has disappeared from bookshelves in China, and online searches for it have been censored. The book, The Diligent Emperor of Failed Dynasty, published last month, recounts how the last emperor of the 1368 to 1644 Ming dynasty purged senior officials and mismanaged his kingdom before finally hanging himself on a tree outside the Forbidden City as rebels closed in on Beijing. You can read between the lines and draw your own conclusions as to the extent to which there is proximity between what happened then and what is happening in our own beloved country, and also the not unlikely possibility at some point events like this will be banned as political rallies under the guise of launching a book. Besides, in Nigeria, and Lagos in particular, an event such as a book launch has grave political significance and consequential reverberations as we strive to remind ourselves how we got into the mess in which we find ourselves. In other words, where did we go wrong? By skillfully chronicling the major events that engulfed Lagos in the colonial era, with Pelewura as the centrifugal force, we have been provided with a peek into the maelstrom and offered a unique opportunity for introspection as well as self-examination. However, we have to contend the assault of artificial intelligence and the dire warning of Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. Some of you may have seen the interview from BBC where he was being interviewed by the British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Tesla, in essence, is saying that at the end of the day, we won't have any jobs, there will be nobody writing any books, and of course, there will not be any book reviewers. That means in future, books will be written by robots. At any rate, here we are under cover of light, not darkness, and hope, not surrender, to reassess our state and status as Lagosians in the scheme of things post the recent elections. We are still in a crisis mode combined with a moral challenge over which of our shared values, as documented in the book we are launching today, will survive or be jettisoned. Honesty, integrity, uprightness, determination, hard work, and justice. We are not inadequate, but competent beyond measure. The author has gone to great lengths to skillfully remind us that Alimatu Pelewura was combative, a warrior for justice on the side of the poor and downtrodden when it came to government overreach in matters related to taxes, property, and racial discrimination. In this worthy endeavor, a major ally and perhaps fellow conspirator was the legendary Herbert Macaulay. My grandfather, Dr. J.K. Randall, is given brief mention as the founder of the first political party in Nigeria, the People's Union, in 1908, and saving the life of Pelewura through surgical intervention when she was invaded by fibroids. Also, my grandfather chose to ride a bicycle as his mode of transportation, even though he was vastly wealthy. His house was at 31 Marina, Lagos, now known as the Royal Exchange building. We are obliged to vote on the side of Dr. Femi Olugbile against accusation that the book, which is ostensibly about Pelewura, is actually dominated by Herbert Macaulay. Perhaps the Duke Doctor made a deliberate choice to emphasize that even though they came from opposite sides of the social divide, We were soulmates. There are various descriptions of Pelewura, which are in the book. And as for Herbert Macaulay, it's very much larger than life. So many descriptions from Ejongboro, and so many epithets and what have you. They are all in the book. The combined forces of Pelewura and Herbert Macaulay literally gave the colonial government a bloody nose. They were confrontational, but while Pelewura was spared jail, Herbert Macaulay was sent to prison twice, which provided his daily food and former friend and ally, America, with the opportunity to gloat about Herbert Macaulay's predicament. We must acknowledge the intellectual curiosity of the author, which has propelled him to painstakingly research and share with us his voyage of discovery regarding the rich tapestry of our history as negotiations within the larger arena of and complex website of Nigeria. As a medical doctor, he is following the illustrious footsteps of another titan in the medical profession, late Professor Ade Elebute, author of the fascinating book, The Life of Vincent Labulo Davis, a colossus of the Victorian Lagos. It is a grand testimony to the vibrancy of what the chairman of today's book launch, Dr. Patrick Deleko, in his own book, and there was somebody referred, I think it was a follower that referred to it earlier, modern and traditional elites. Is that the correct title? So we'll talk about it later on. I suspect that historians, especially scholars and purists, will take Dr. Femi Olugbile to task over his detailed description of events which occurred before he was born, and even attributing direct opinions, quotations, as well as graphic account of the various scenes of action. They are bound to ask whether this is the product of diligent research or a very fertile imagination. What is beyond dispute is that the author has elegantly reinforced the credentials of negotiations as warriors against oppression, injustice, and intimidation. Negotiants, give yourself a round of applause. In the numerous epic battles by Pelewura, Herbert Macaulay was the perfect foil and mentor. It serves as a powerful reminder that our ancestors were not docile. I'm repeating that for the benefit of Chief Dr. Yomi Femi. It serves as a powerful reminder that our ancestors were not docile. Thank you very much.
The book was unveiled by members of the High Table, marking a significant literary achievement. Dr. Femi Olugbile, in a speech, dedicated Pelewura to two influential women, his mother and Alhaja Abibatu Mogaji.
This book is dedicated to two women. Dedicated to my mother, Sabanatu Amoke, and to our dear departed Alhaja Abibatu Mogaji. It's written there. I'm not saying it off the cuff. It's actually there. You can see it.
It briefly delved into the story of Pelewura, a woman who fought against all odds to become a force in the history of Lagos. He concluded his speech by expressing gratitude to everyone present.
Pelewura was an unlettered. She never went to school. She went to Islamic schooling for. I don't think she even completed it. But she never went to school, never learned to write her name. Over time, she picked up how to discern what they were saying in newspapers, especially the newspaper of her friend Herbert Macaulay. But she never let on. She advertised her illiteracy and used it as a weapon because people tended to underrate her. And she was much smarter than most of the people that she dealt with. She was very crucial to the advancement of Lagos in her lifetime. And she set in process certain things that have become part of the tradition of Lagos. She formed the Lagos Market Women's Association. Nobody knew where that was coming from. She was just the daughter of a fishmonger who took over the trade of her mother, made it bigger, became wealthy. But it was not about her wealth, it was about her leadership. That was why other people succumbed. People who were much older and much wealthier than her listened to her. So when she started organizing, when they now formalized the association, Lagos Market Women's Association, it became formally registered. Pelewura was a founding member, of course, of Herbert Macaulay's party, which was mostly a Lagos-based party. When a party that was supposedly going to be a national party came along, which was the NCNC, which Herbert Macaulay also formed, Pelewura, who could not write her name, was a founding member and the female leader. When the party was going to travel around the nation to introduce itself after a particular constitution had been written, which they had some objections to, Pelewura hosted the first convention, the first general meeting of that party in Lagos. Of course, beyond just her and Macaulay, there were now people like Nnamdi Azikiwe and other people from other parts of the country, because this was meant to be a national thing. In the book, we find that Nnamdi Azikiwe remarked that after eating the condiments and seeing the strength of organization that Lagos people had deployed, he now told her, we are going to be traveling to other parts of the country. How are we going to survive and get this level of service since there's no Iyaloja Pelewura in any of those places? That was just an expression of his own admiration of her. What else did the market women of Lagos do? And by inspiration, by extension, what else happened in Lagos in the times of Pelewura? If anybody is asked who was the first Nigerian to head the civil service, it was Henry Carr. And he was heading the Nigerian civil service. So that was how, and he and Macaulay were contemporaries. Henry Carr, about Macaulay loved Pelewura and valued her, understood that illiteracy was not the same as ignorance. And that Pelewura was actually the most powerful woman on the stage. You will find in the book some of the actual letters or excerpts from some of the actual letters exchanged between Henry Carr and Herbert Macaulay, and also exchanged between Henry Carr and the king of Lagos at the time, Eleko. Okay. The important thing is that Pelewura was always on the right side of history. She had a sense for what was right and what was in tandem with the destiny, not just of the women folk of Lagos. Women are very powerful figures in society, and they make or mar a society. In Yoruba land, and especially in Lagos, that we have a tradition of having powerful women who retain their femininity, who have a strong social life. I see strong women who retain their femininity, who remain very, very powerful in moving society forward as a major thing that we have in our society, which we don't cherish enough and which we need to cultivate and pass on to our children. So being strong, being successful, being dynamic is not incompatible with being feminine and beautiful and all the other things that we attribute to female. So there's a native-born feminism, if you like, which is different in tone and context from what appears to be the imported feminism of the East, which seems that, if you are very powerful and very successful, you become androgenic and you renounce the things that we attribute with feminism. You can have your cake and eat it. Powerful women are a great treasure to society. They should be cultivated. And we should be passing on to the Western world our definition of powerful femininity, which they will do well to imbibe and copy from us. I thank you all for coming. I hope you'll enjoy reading the book as much as I have enjoyed writing it. I think all the children of Lagos should read about Pelewura. They should read this book. I think it will help to connect them with their past and help them to recognize that they have within themselves great power that they need to tap into, they need to connect with, and they need to carry forward to help. There may have been some difficult things happening in the recent past, discouraging people and making them feel low about themselves. If they read empowering testimony about their actual past, then it can make people connect with their inner selves and lead their children to have great discoveries and open new vistas for better living for all of us. Again, I thank you and I wish you a very good afternoon.
Speaking to the press after the event, Dr. Femi Olugbile stated that in his research, he saw the importance of women in the society in the eyes of his mother and Alhaja Abibatu Mogaji and the iconic woman Pelewura.
I had a very powerful mother, who was very inspirational to me. And then in the course of my work, I met Alhaja Abibatu Mogaji, and I found her to be very powerful and very inspirational, despite the fact of her limited education. And then when I read history further and I discovered Pelewura, who was actually a true historical figure, I found some commonalities between those three characters, and I decided to look further into the character of Pelewura. And that's what I found was that many things that happened to her were emblematic of developments of Lagos in her life, and she had a very major impact. And a lot of those things can be transformational if the present generation can imbibe them. Strength, beauty, elegance, a redefinition of femininity that is not androgenic, but that is home-based, and that belongs to us, that we can carry forward and even share with the world. We have very strong, very powerful women who are still women and who rejoice in the fact of being women. And they are avatars of fashion and everything, in addition to being great successes in whatever they are doing and being inspirational for them. I want the children to latch on to that, to understand it, to understand their history, and also in doing that to understand themselves and their possibilities.
He ended by admonishing the people, women especially, to understand their history and what they could achieve with an understanding of the literature Pelewura.
All the things that were there in the people at Pelewura's time are still there in the people now. They just need to uncover them, to bring them to the fore. And I think reading this kind of literature can help them to see themselves in characters and then seek to be the best that they can be.
Following Dr. Olugbile's insight, guests interviewed by Equod Blog share their perspectives on the event's significance and discuss what the book portends in Lagos history.
Both of them are, well, we have to refer to them, major contributors to the modern Lagos. Whilst Pelewura was in charge of the market women and men then, Abba Macaulay was practically the leader of the political leader as at then, and they both contributed a lot to what we now enjoy as our Lagos. So I'm very happy with the author for putting it down, and we also encourage other Lagosians and some other people that are very knowledgeable, that have experience, to share their experiences by putting it down so that generations yet unborn can go back to those books and read. Lagos is still evolving. Lagos is growing from population of less than 50,000, 500,000 to now over 20 million. It's growing, and it's a big city. And Lagos has contributed to development of Nigeria. So we should not forget that fact. Without Lagos, I'm sure Nigeria will not be where we are today.
As a very young child, I remember he always tell me the story that the very first story he wrote, his father of blessed memory, Papa Gio, that's Gabriel Olufumilade Olugbile, who was a teacher in his lifetime, typed that story out for him on his typewriter. I was so impressed that his little boy wrote a story. So he typed it out and kept it for him. So I think that was what motivated him to continue to write. His father has always wanted him to be a medical doctor, but he has the passion for writing, and since then he has been writing. Like you read, he's had 6 books published to his name, and he has so many other writings, still in the making. He's also a newspaper columnist. I met him, he was writing for Vanguard Weekly, and then he used to write for This Day at one time. Now he writes for Business Day. So he's always has this passion for writing, long before I met him. The book, Pelewura, is about a woman of substance, a strong woman in her time, somebody who can stand up to the colonial masters, who stood up for herself, for her rights, and for the rights of the other women. She doesn't have biological children of her own, but she took care of every child in her vicinity. She's a strong person, and it's I know women of today have a lot to take away from the person of Pelewura. She's a strong woman, career motivated, also holds her home down very well.
What would be your message to them?
Like I said to somebody, I don't believe in a career woman not being able to also be a homemaker. You know, this day and time, people believe that if you are pursuing a career, then you can't build a home. I don't believe in that. I have so many people around me that are career motivated. They've risen to the pinnacles of their careers. Some of them are here. Some are medical doctors who later became professors. A lot of them, and they build their homes perfectly. They have children who are well done in life and things like that, you know. So I believe a woman can be career oriented and also be an homemaker.
I am here to celebrate such an important milestone in the life of a great author, in the life of a columnist, an individual whose love for Lagos State cannot be questioned. So today is a book launch of Pelewura, and I want to congratulate Dr. Femi Olugbile, the author, for such a brilliant work of fiction that has actually authentically represented the heroic efforts of one of our unsung heroes in Lagos State, and that is Pelewura, an individual, despite our educational limitations, who fought for the rights of market women, not only for the market women, but of course also put Lagos State, or Lagos then, on a global pedestal. So, Dr. Olugbile, I want to thank you. There's no doubt that his love, his dedication, his energy for Lagos State shines through this commendable portrayal of Pelewura. Now, the situation is, Pelewura fought for Lagos then, the 18th, 19th century. So it's not just, what we are doing here today is not just to talk about those people who have walked the soil before us, but of course it challenges every one of us to do what we can to make our community a better place for the sake of posterity. There is something so spectacular about what happened. If Pelewura will have turned in the grave today, I'm sure she will be very much disappointed with what Lagos is today. She fought for that Lagos then. Now fast forward, where is Lagos today? And I'm sorry that I'm saying this. She won't be proud seeing the level of disrespect that we see in Lagos State today, seeing the way indigenes of Lagos State are being treated with disdain. She will not be impressed about it. So, but of course, because if you look at what happened in the last election, we almost lost Lagos State. It was like Lagos is a no man's land. It's very demeaning for all of us who are indigenes of Lagos State. And it is a collective responsibility of every one of us, all Lagosians, to make sure that we speak with a unified force so as to be able to protect our heritage Not only that, there has to be a robust legal framework that should be put in place that will protect the interests of the indigenes. Because if care is not taken, the Lagos that Alimot Pelewura fought for might no longer be in existence in about 10, 20 years. So it is incumbent upon every one of us. Yes, Lagos is a melting pot. There's no doubt about that. But of course, does that stop the indigenes from having their rights as well? I don't think so. So yes, we welcome people to come into Lagos, but we still implore them to respect the laws of the land, to respect the rights of their hosts. So this is not just about Alimot Pelewura, it's about the history of Lagos. It's about those people who have actually fought before us and wonderful things. A lot of people didn't even know much about Alimot Pelewura. A lot of people didn't know until we saw this, then we went into history book, we started doing some research. We know there are so many landmarks in Lagos State about Alimot Pelewura, but we didn't know the depth of her fearlessness, the depth of her sacrifices, the depth of altruism, and most especially her bravery for somebody to fight against the colonial masters during that time that does not have any kind of education. I think it's an incredible achievement. So I am glad to be here, and I hope people will take a cue out of this and see this as an opportunity to do more. There will be many more of Alimot Pelewura in our society. One good lesson is you don't have to go after Gucci shoes, Gucci bags, designer shoes before you can make an impact on the society. It's not about your look. It's about here. It's about the fearlessness. So, what Alimot, so what the likes of Ngozi and some of these women of today are doing is just embracing what people have done in the past. They're not doing anything new. They're just trying to do what people have done in the past. So, you see, the key is for us to do what we can to make an impact in our society. And to all the women out there, take a cue from Alimot Pelewura. Fight for your community, particularly Lagosians, particularly Lagos State indigenous women. Fight for Lagos State. Fight for the survival of Lagos State. Fight for the soul of Lagos State. Walk Lagos, talk Lagos, dream Lagos. That is the key to the future of our state. Thank you.
This is not just a book launch, it's a political event. Yes. So we are taking stock as to where we are, how we got here, and how do we go forward. She was able to command market forces and energize them to something much more powerful, namely to check the excesses of the colonial government and also reinforce the confidence of women in their own power and their competence and the ability to make changes for the benefit of society.
It's a great pleasure to be here because it's not only informative, it is educative, and that's a historical influence on the knowledge about the ancestries of Lagosians. Most certainly, it's very impactful in the sense that people are now beginning to have more knowledge about the quality of people who, introduced grassroots politics in Lagos State. And it is not just a matter of, being a PhD or MSc in political science. It's a matter of people caring about the people. And that is very, very impactful. I hope we have all learned from it. Oh, Femi is a bundle of so many things. He has been a very good psychiatrist. He's made a lot of marks for himself and for his profession, and he has also made a lot of contributions. This is not the first book he's going to author. He's done very well. I'm very pleased and delighted for him.
My name is Adelaja Ijaodola. First of all, Dr. Femi Olugbile is an articulated man, a brilliant man, and a good leader, a role model to emulate. See, beside this medical aspect, it's a man that you can copy in your life and be okay. So, coupled with the writing of this book, tells whom he is. It's not everybody that have that kind of brain. If I told you you're a doctor, it doesn't matter. You're a lawyer, it doesn't matter. But whom he is shows when it's right. So it's a man that you always look up to. I want to be like this. It's not about money. Money apart. You understand? See, a good role model is somebody you always look up to. I want to be like this. It's not about the money you have in your bank account, but about who you are, how you relate to people. Dr. Olugbile will relate to even a child of 3-4 years old, and that child be happy going home. You relate to a man of, let's say, 95 years old, the man will be happy going home. You relate to youth, the youth will be happy going home. It's not like, oh, no, he'll be happy going home. He will relate to you. So it's a man that, personally, I look up to him. And I learn a lot from him too. So that's who he is. First thing, my message to Dr. Olugbile is that may God give him good health and long life for what he's doing. It's not about money. And to Nigerians generally, let our leaders be a good leader. Let them learn from leaders. Dr. Olugbile is a leader. Learn from him too. It's not about the money in your pocket. It's not about your position. Do you understand? What can you give back to your society? That's what matters most. Thank you very much.
I'm coordinating for the ECOWAS country, 15 countries for women in ECOWAS Commission, Unikoi there. And I had opportunity, my sister-in-law is the person who was one of the people who did the closing remark. And I think Dr. Femi, like we call him, I know him, Femi. He has done very well. And he's a doctor to the core. And you don't have to have so much money before you do what you can do for anybody that comes your way. And I'm happy to hear that he has helped so many people. Even some old age ones that are coming, who came, he played a role to assist them medically. And the wife too has done very well. And this book he has written talking about the market women. The truth is that women are women. They are more or less the powerhouse in a home. Not just in a home. In any place you find women, they are the powerhouse. So I'm so pleased that the market women, they are local people. They will call them local, but they have empowered themselves and empowering other fellow women around them to excel. And when you talk about when coming together, teamwork, you can't shut the women down. You can't shut them. You can't pull them. They do a lot. And if you have such women in a home, as a mother to you or as a wife, please look after them, encourage them. Because when the chiefs are there, they are always there firm to ensure that things should be done properly. So I'm so happy I came, and I'm happy to see all of you. It's a true success. I saw so many people that are very close to my husband, late Abel Ubeku, former black man, to be MD of Guinness.
I've known Dr. Olugbile for a long time as a colleague. However, he's a doctor with a difference. He's versatile, he's very cerebral, and has an in-depth way of thinking and bringing what look obscure into light. He enjoyed writing. He enjoyed, flavoring things that most of us take for granted. So I'm not surprised, seeing him bringing history from obscurity to limelight, not just for his own personal aggrandizement or anything, but to honor women for the role they've played and what they continue to play and what they can become if we recognize them, empower them. As women are blessed, they have intrinsic intellect and insight into things which we men are more gullible. So I think the Lord has created them to be mothers, to be wives, and they're multi-talented and they are polyvalent in doing things. So we should recognize that quality and use it to enrich our society. And that societal values can be passed on to generation of our children. Since they are custodian of values, they train the son, they train the daughter. So if we give them, recognize them, and do the right thing, it will be to advantage of the society and to the advantage of the nation. As there's no time more than this time where there's a deep moral decadence, the lack of cultural values, than to bring these sort of qualities out to enrich the future of this country.
The author, Dr. Olugbile, that have been very, very good friends since I was in service, and I've known his intellectual capacity. So just like one of the people there said that he varied from medical field now to an historian. So the book is about history, the involvement of personalities in Lagos, how it came about. So that's the benefit of it. And the way you know your history, you now know how to forge ahead. You'll be able to appreciate, assess where you are now, and know how to forge ahead. So that's the benefit of the book now for whoever that wants to progress and wants development of the state or the environment.
To start with, he is one of the finest gentlemen Nigeria has ever produced. A very astute clinician as a psychiatrist and a writer unparalleled skill. And I have known him forever. And he's an inspiration to people coming behind him. That you don't have to be a doctor. You can be other things, but still stay in your profession. And his books have been fantastic. His books have been very lovely to read. And I'm glad today that all of us are here giving him all the support that he needs. It's a very, it's historical. And it also puts in place the role of women in achieving independence for the country, in getting universal suffrage, that is, ability of women to vote. So this is a woman of substance who hardly did not go to school, and yet made so much impact. So in the book, anybody reading it will see that the book encourages you to do whatever you do well. Excellence is what you should do. And she will be in the same league with the Aminas of Zaria and so on, and other women who have done very well.
I would say the significance of the launch of Pelewura today is that it's important to shine the light on Nigerian history, periods that are underreported. It's also important to shine the light on women's contribution to history, because a lot of times this is lost and people don't know what's going on. So I think it's very, very important that works like these come to the public eye so that people know more about it. My message to the women of today would be to be brave, be bold, don't be afraid to speak your mind, don't be afraid to speak up for what you see is unjust, what you see is wrong, and you'll be surprised the amount of support you will receive, and you're surprised who comes out to support you, not just women, but also men and society at large. I would like to congratulate Dr. Olugbile on this wonderful achievement. I think it's important for people to know that following one path in life doesn't mean you have to stick to that path, that you can be creative, you can also be business-minded, and I think it's also inspirational to young men and women everywhere that you can put your thoughts down on paper and it will be published.
The unveiling ceremony marked a momentous occasion, shedding light on untold history and celebrating the resilience of remarkable individuals in Lagos past. Pelewura stands as a testament of the power of literature in preserving and sharing the rich cultural heritage of Nigeria. Pelewura by Dr. Femi Olugbile is not just a story, but a tapestry woven with a thread of history, fiction, and the indomitable spirit of a remarkable woman. This event is not just a presentation, but an avenue to delve deeper into our shared history with proper understanding. Dr. Olugbile has authored many other books like Lonely Men, Leaders, 10 Ahead, and many more. For this masterpiece, more ink to your pen. This is EcoWord Blog. For more information, news, trendy gist, and entertainment, kindly follow us on all our social media platforms and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Babawale Solomon reporting for EcoWord Blog.